Hey, good morning, guys. Sorry about yesterday. Had some conflict with work, so thanks for bearing with me to push it today to this morning. Let's go ahead and get started. I have only 3 questions, so we should be able to go through this pretty quick. So let's get to it here. Let's start with Patricia's question. It says, "Hi, Paul. Do you have any exposure with this type of tool or marketing or training? Any guidance on best value?" So what Patricia was asking was there was a tool called the Draw Shop, and basically it's a I think what they call them, it's a marketing illustrator. So basically it's either a cartoon or they draw it. It's really cool. I have looked at it in the past to put into my websites. I actually never really executed it or actually put it in there. However, I do have colleagues that have done it, and quite frankly, for me personally, I really enjoy looking at those things because they're really great, like cartoon explainers. That's actually what they're called, cartoon explainers. I like it. Again, I don't have any personal experience with it. However, when I look at a website and I see it, especially if you have a product or service that's easily that you would like to explain via website where you're not talking to them one-on-one, it's pretty cool. So, I mean, that's the best that I can give you. However, I don't have personal experience with it. I think they're really cool as far as explanation. So, Patricia, if you're looking for it for your website or something that you can email, it's probably cool to take a look at because I enjoy watching them. So hopefully that gives you at least my opinion on it. I know it wasn't concrete as far as just because I've never used it before myself. So like, who's on here? Hey, Josh. Hey, Nigel. Hey, Ari. Okay, let's go ahead and go on here. Here's the second question from Flora. When reviewing your business weekly and monthly as well as quarterly, what metrics do you look at? For example, do you look at the size of your list or conversion rate? Do you look at your P&Ls, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, so from a weekly basis, what I'm always looking at is sales productions, all right? So we want to always make sure that what we're doing is, I'm always looking at the activity report. So how many contacts my sales personnel are doing, what are the recruiters doing, how many dials, how many connections, how many conversions. So we look at the biggest thing that we look at is what we're converting on a weekly basis, right? And from there, we start to break it down. And I think I've talked about this in the past, where I start to break down what actually are the steps to get to those conversions, right? Because there's steps to get to those conversions. And what we look at is how many dials and how many contacts and how many visits do we make with clients, or how many positions that we have open and what we can convert to. So to summarize that question, I look for the weekly. I'm always almost daily. I'm looking at our activity reports and our conversions, like our sales conversions reports. I tend to be a little bit more obsessive with my P&Ls, and especially our accounts receivable aging reports. So I'm constantly looking at that on a weekly basis. So what I look at is every week at least I'm looking at my AR aging report. So like which clients are not paying us, who's late, what do we have in receivables. The reason why I'm looking at those things is because I need to manage my cash flow, right? I think one of the biggest reasons why businesses start to struggle is because they can't manage their cash flow. And if you can't, part of the reason we're not managing our cash flow well is we're not collecting receivables at the velocity that we need to. Sometimes we don't go after it, especially if it's late, which then strangles cash flow. So that's why I'm looking at it. Our business is very cash flow intensive. So we need to make sure that we're managing that process constantly, and we're collecting what we need to collect at a timely basis. So it's not so we're not struggling, and we can plan that accordingly. So I look at P&Ls maybe once a month. Our controller gives me a report every month, and I look at the P&Ls. But I'm absolutely looking at our AR reports all the time. And those are the majority of the reports that I'm looking at. On a quarterly basis, I am looking at the employee reports and seeing how they're doing. As far as like how their performance how they're performing. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Hopefully that answers your question. This is the last question, and again, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter question. Please, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Throw as many questions as you can. I love answering your questions, and hopefully you get some value from it. Last question is Ari. Ari asks, hi, Paul, what are some of the key actions that you feel are most important in getting your business where you are today? Well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. I think a lot of it was mindset. I think a lot of it was just, quite frankly, it was grit. I think one of the biggest things that you can be that you need to have as an entrepreneur is that you need to constantly be like problem solving, right? Because I think all of us understand that that there's something that comes up. It doesn't matter how large the business is or small the business is or whatever it is. There's always something that comes up. And the better we can be at problem solving, and that really is being resourceful, right? Like sometimes we don't have all the resources, but we need to have a lot of resourcefulness to find those things. So that's one of the biggest things. It was how do I overcome every single obstacle that's thrown my way? That's one of the biggest mindsets that I've had is like, I have to constantly know that I need to solve a problem, right? The second thing is just innovating, right? My industry is very, very competitive. Staffing is, quite frankly, it's a little bit of a dime a dozen. It's almost like a gas station. It's like whatever is going to go cheaper. And sometimes what clients look for us is like, how inexpensive is your services, right? It's kind of a race to zero. So what we need to do is innovate and make sure that, and our innovation process is making sure that we're providing value. We're going in there and providing value to the client rather than just providing this kind of commoditized service. We need to add value in a sense that we need to be more consultative with these guys and making sure that we can, I'll give you an example. With traditional staffing, they give you a position, you go after it, and you come back and then you try to fill the position. But how we add value is basically we help with their workforce plan. We start to understand what kind of projects that they have involved in the next 6 months to 12 months, and then we start pipelining and helping them manage their workflow, just as you would do with any kind of project management when you're handling resources or when you're handling materials that need to arrive at a certain time. It's just like that, but we have to do it from a workforce perspective. We also help them with their culture, and they're branding their culture and making sure that their outreach is in alignment to what their culture is. So what we want to do is go above and beyond the services that they typically get from us. So that's one thing. I mean, innovation is really, really important. And I think one of the biggest things is just I try to remain as humble as I possibly can. I think when people achieve a level of success, they tend to want to know it all. And to be quite honest with you, the more that I do this business, the less that I know. And that's why I actually rely on some of the other mentors or my mentors myself. This is why I think you guys are in this tribe, is we're constantly trying to figure out how to better ourselves. And if there's any one thing that I can possibly say that will help you out more than anything, is try to get the help that you can, try to get mentorship, try to get people that will really guide you. You got my daughter running up and down the stairs in the background. So, try to, get some mentorship, get some more insights. I think what we create here in the tribe is something called synergy, right? Where we're creating more than the sum of its parts. So I think it's really important that you do that. So again, just kind of the top 3 things that pop into my mind is grit and overcoming all the obstacles that are thrown your way. I think that's going to be almost half the battle of being successful in any kind of business. Also innovating and make sure you're providing value to the clients or to the people that you are serving, and are also making sure that you surround yourself with really good people and getting good mentorship and getting and making sure that the people around you are bringing you are helping you better yourself on a daily, weekly, basis. So those are the 3 things that I would suggest, and those are the 3 things that helped me get my business to where it's at today. And I think they're really, really invaluable. So hopefully hopefully that answered your question, and hopefully that provided value. Again, a little bit shorter on the live today. Please throw out your questions. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully once things settle down again, I'll go back to a weekly basis. But for now, we're going to do a every 2 week cycle here. So hey, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Again, if you have any questions, send me a DM and I'll try to get back to you. All right, guys, have a good one.